Hello, everybody. You've tuned into the Indiana State Police Roadshow, brought to you by the Indiana State Police Alliance. Cops for Kids, a subsidiary of the Indiana State Police Alliance. We appreciate you tuning in each and every week to our show. We appreciate Tom Trial, the man behind the scene, putting us on the ISP YouTube side. Also, you can catch that over there at the ISP YouTube channel. With me today is Kathy Bledsoe. Kathy, this is not your first time being here.
No.
But we appreciate you coming back today all the way from Fort Wayne down in this nasty weather that we have. Kathy is a youth educator with ICAC, the Internet Crimes Against Children, and we're going to talk about some internet stuff going on here. Did you guys get a lot of snow up your way, or how did it work out up there?
We did, but the rain washed it away. So
all right, so you're clear right now.
We're clear for now.
Good
Fingers
for you.
crossed.
Yeah, because you guys usually have it up there before us.
We'll get ice in a minute. Don't worry about it.
It's going to change one day or another.
Exactly.
Well, Kathy, we appreciate you coming in here, and this initiative that Indiana State Police kind of was on the forefront of is about a year old, a little more than that.
About almost exactly a year old. We hit the ground in February, so
of
1
last
month
year.
we'll be here a year.
Well, let's do a little review on how that came about and what exactly that is that your job entails. And you're not the only one in the state that does this.
No, we have two youth educators that cover the entire state. My partner couldn't be here today. We were brought on because the Indiana State Police and the ICAC task force decided we needed to be more proactive. We needed to get to the potential victims before they became victims. So the program is geared for us to go into schools and churches and Boy Scout troops and Girl Scout troops and wherever we can get kids to listen and talk to them about the dangers of what's online. And we now have started branching out more and talking also to parents and educators. I was actually invited to do a training with the Fort Wayne Police Department so they could have a better understanding of what's out there with kids for when they're doing their investigations. I really appreciate them supporting our program like that. It's been well received.
Good.
I personally am booked throughout the school year, and I'm already booking for next year. I have many schools who have me come back a second and sometimes a third time. So it was really well received.
And the best thing about this, like any program that the schools or churches or Boy Scouts jump on, it's free.
Exactly. That's the best part. People are always surprised when they'll say, well, how much is the charge? And I say, well, there's no charge to you. This is our public service.
Yeah.
And they're blown away because it's expensive to bring in guest speakers. And we will come in and we will do 45 minutes to an hour. I've had schools had me there the whole day and into the night and do parent talks and family fun fairs and health fairs and family summits, and we love what we're doing and we think we're making a difference.
So obviously you don't have an 8-to-5 job. You're probably a lot of afternoon and evening hours and meetings and weekends and things like that.
This Sunday, I actually had a church invite me to come to talk at the church on Sunday, and the pastor just turned over the sermon to me, so I was a sermon.
So you were saving souls a different way.
Exactly.
Well, that's wonderful. Well, let's talk a little bit about social media, where we are, where we're going with it. I'm sure you're finding out, and I'm sure that's why you're kind of expanding out to parents now, is the kids a lot of times know more than the parents.
Definitely. And our parents are using the excuse, well, that wasn't around when I was a kid. Well, we can't use that excuse anymore.
Yeah.
The internet is the most powerful tool we've ever made, but it's also the most powerful weapon. Our kids are exposed to more predators in 15 minutes online than they would be walking the streets. So we need to make them better equipped for what's out there. I'm not saying take your kids off of the internet. That's unrealistic. And also that would be a disservice to your children in a world where technology is so strong.
Right.
But as parents, I'm a parent too, you have to step up your game.
Mm-hmm.
I have a 9-year and a 20-year-old, and sometimes I learn about what's going on from those two, and then I incorporate that into my talks. A lot of times when I do a talk, a kid will come up to me at the end and say, have you heard about this program, or this is what's happening online? And then I have to go, even with all my years of experience doing this, and step up my knowledge a little bit. So we ask parents to do the same thing.
Do you find that you have children come up to you afterwards that have been victims of something online?
Yes. We have identified close to 30 victims since February. We've had students who came forth and talking about attempted suicides or desires to commit suicide. I personally have had, for some reason, I'm the cyberbully queen. I get a lot of cyberbully kids who have been involved in cyberbullying and not sure how to handle it. And in the last few months, I've gotten an awful lot of either sextortion victims who had put out images and now people are threatening with them, or kids who are sexting and are just afraid of what's out there.
Right.
And they want to fix their reputations and they want to get that information back, and they're afraid of what's going to happen if they don't.
Are kids finding that this is kind of the norm, the sexting, the bullying? Are they?
You know, it's funny you said that. I have a school that invited me to the school, and the principal actually said, we have a list of kids that everybody's seeing naked because sexting is so common. But when I go in and I talk to the kids, and I talk to them about the consequences of sexting, including the legal consequences, it is against the law. That is the creation of child pornography.
Right.
It's like no one bothered to tell them it was wrong.
Right, yeah.
Which surprises me as a mom.
Yeah.
But no one bothered to tell them there was a possibility they would damage their lives, and that would be there forever. So it's kind of an aha moment. I see a lot of aha moments when I'm doing my talks.
I bet kind of the light bulb comes on and they see it. Maybe that's not right.
Yeah, kids have tells, and when you're sitting there, I kind of modify my talks because I'll mention something and I'll look and I'll get a tell sign from the kids. I'm like, okay, we're going to talk about that a little bit more.
And that's one thing I wanted to dive into. Your presentations can be made for small groups,
yes.
large groups, any age.
Yes, our goal is to reach age 8 to 18. We will do younger kids, but they're not as well. I want to say they're not as active on the internet,
Right.
but that's growing. But we do usually start with third grade and go to seniors in high school. We ask for about 45 minutes to an hour because there is a lot to cover, and even that amount of time we're kind of rushing. I've had some schools say take as much time as you want, but kids aren't going to sit for 2 or 3 hours. So 45 minutes to an hour is a good guide to get their kids' attention and to talk to them about the multiple subjects, because if I don't talk about sexting, then I'm not going to have the foundation for cyberbullying and sextortion and sexual predators and even human trafficking, which is something else we do discuss. So all of them are connected. So we have to kind of hit a little bit of every topic. Now, I have had some schools who say, well, we really just want you to talk about cyberbullying.
Right.
But to me, you're doing a disservice because that cyberbullying may have been stemmed from an inappropriate image online. So we need to kind of hit all the points.
Do you find that the parents and the teachers and your groups that you're talking to are grasping this and being proactive with this? Then when they leave when you go back, do you find that the kids are?
Oh, when I go back, there's usually a huge change.
Okay.
I have some schools that when I got there, they gave me a list of all the problems that they had. And when I came back the second time, they said, oh, we don't really have any problems, but we want you to keep putting this out there for our students. I've had, as a matter of fact, I just had a teacher yesterday tell me that after my talk, she got scared. She didn't realize how dangerous it was for her children out there. She didn't realize the risks that were out there for them. And it opened her eyes. Mm-hmm. We talk about specific software applications that there's literally millions of software applications, and I don't have enough time to cover them all, but we try to talk about at least the biggest ones, like Kick, which is extremely dangerous for children to be on, notorious place for predators to find our children, Musically, which is another one that is really popular with kids, and predators are now finding a way to reach our kids through that, and then the Chat with Stranger apps. Well, when I say this, parents are like, I had no idea, because they're not online, and these are not things aimed at the adults.
Right.
They are really being pushed to the kids, and sometimes it's just by other kids, just the pressure of, well, everybody's doing it.
What can parents do to maybe catch that? What are some telltale signs that they can look for, or maybe that they can help with their kids so they don't become a victim of these predators?
Well, the number one thing is parents need to stop worrying about making their children mad at them.
Yeah.
Be
parents.
Be parents. That's what's your job. Exactly. It's not your job. They're going to have 100 friends. Be their parent. When I talk to a parent and I say, well, what's the password on their phone? They say, well, I don't know. That's their privacy. They don't have a right to privacy. I'm paying the bill. Mm-hmm. We need to be parents. We need to parent our children, which means that we need to not just hand an 8-year-old an iPhone and think he's going to be safe. We need to set down rules, talk about consequences, and be realistic and honest, and do that before we give them the phone. If you've already given them the phone, you need to come pull it back a little bit and say, hey, if you're doing this, this, and this is going to damage your future. I'm not going to pay for you to ruin your life. Right. Parents also need to be willing to educate themselves. To be honest, you can go to netsmarts.org or Common Sense Media and learn massive amount of what's out there and the dangers of children, but you got to be willing to step up yourself and learn.
Are there programs out there that can be installed on a phone to limit the use of a child?
Yes, and sometimes I give out that information, but then parents will set it and forget it. To me, communication is the best thing.
Okay.
Parents need to be proactive in the online lives of their children. If you're going to let them be online, investigate that game, investigate that app, find out for yourself what's really out there. Don't just expect technology to solve all your problems, because, to be honest, there's always a workaround.
Yeah.
Hackers are everywhere.
Trying to work through it, and like you see with any cybercrime. Well, again, we're listening to Kathy Bledsoe. She's with our ICAC youth education team for the Indiana State Police. Been enacted just a little under a year right now, and it sounds like it's taken off leaps and bounds. We're being brought to you by the Indiana State Police Alliance and Cops for Kids. Kathy, is there a difference on the presentation for younger and older kids, and there's a difference that they're using their media for?
Definitely. Even though now we're starting to talk more about sexting with 3rd and 4th graders, because we are finding that as young as 3rd and 4th graders are already doing that, we do approach it a little differently with the younger kids. We talk a lot more about just general safety.
Right.
With the younger kids, trying to stop them before they start. With the older kids, we talk a lot about, well, this is your future, this is your legacy. How can you clean up what you have done to make better choices? I always mention you are being watched. The government says we can use your social media footprint to determine if we give you a job or a scholarship. And if that's going to be the case, you need to make sure that you are only putting out the best possible you. I encourage the students that I talk to in high school to use social media as their living resume.
Right.
That's a much better approach for it. You have no expectation of privacy on those sites, so don't put your private emotions and feelings. But it is a good place to say, hey, I just won a new award, or hey, my grades are really strong. I know for a fact as a mother that social media can be used to promote a child to help them get a job. I did it with my own.
Yeah. So Facebook and those safe places, you can put positive things out there. Positive things about yourself, and also encourage it's not just what you post, but be careful about what other people post about you. Look for what you're being tagged in, what photos or friends are putting out there. If you don't like them, ask them to take them down, or take them down yourself. This is your legacy. Yeah.
You should have some say in it.
What about the different types of gaming devices, phones, tablets, watches? Can they all be interacted and looked
Anything that can connect you to the internet can put you in the path of a predator, especially games. We always talk to kids about apps, but our games have chat features. If they can talk to someone, and just because they say they're a kid doesn't mean they're a kid. I can register for any game I want to play, and doesn't have to be a kid. So we, especially with the younger kids, we talk to them about not just being careful on the games they play, but also how they present themselves. I talk to them about their usernames. If your username is Mary Cheer 12 and I'm a predator, you're my target.
Right.
So make your username something that doesn't tell me your name, your age, your location. Make it so I can't decide if you're going to be my target or not.
That's excellent. Before we forget, also, if somebody wants to contact you for a program, and can they get hold of you?
Yes. You can reach us through our email address, which is icacYouthEdge@isp.in.gov, and I'm hoping you're going to put that up there, because I just said it really fast.
Yeah, I'm sure Tom, our man behind the scene, will put that on our video there and have that out there. But
we monitor that every day, even on weekends, at least one of us, because we have no life but this anymore. We love our job.
Two of you in the state of Indiana. Yeah. I'm sure you're booked, and you say you're booked through this year?
I'm booked through March. I have a few sporadic dates open here and there, so I'm able to put in a day or an evening or one or two, or sometimes I'll have one that's just an evening, so I have for free time in the day. But literally on my calendar, there's something ICAC related almost every day, and some weekends.
Wow, that's amazing. Well,
and we work over the summer. People always say, well, summer's going to wind up. No, we worked all summer. We did Boy Scout troops. We did the ISP youth camps. We did Girl Scout troops. We did church groups. We did vacation Bible schools. Any place that'll have kids. I have a group of homeschoolers who have homeschool co-ops, and they're like, I have 7 kids, I have 12 kids. You want to come? And I'll come and talk to them.
That's wonderful. Well, we're down to our last 42 seconds, Kathy, but I appreciate you coming all the way down here and talking to us about this very important subject. And I'm glad it's taken off, and I hope people get a hold of you and keep you busy throughout the year.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Again, you've been listening to the Indiana State Police Roadshow, brought to you by the Indiana State Police Alliance. Cops for Kids, a subsidiary of the Indiana State Police Alliance. Been speaking with Kathy Bledsoe. She's the Internet Crimes Against Children youth educator for the Indiana State Police. They can be contacted. Just go to the Indiana State Police website and click on there, and there's a link to get to a hold of these people. Excellent programs to get kids of any age to watch. Thank you for listening to the Roadshow. We'll catch you next week on the same time. Roadshow is out.